Hey there, Dream Chasers. This is Hannah Pryde, and welcome to Pryde and Shine, the podcast where we explore the innovators and influencers of Dubai. Proudly sponsored by Pride Migration, your dedicated partner to make Dubai your reality. Welcome to the show, Lavidis, founder of JBT Tours Dubai. How are we?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm bloody great. Thanks for coming on so last minute. I appreciate it. I love it. So tell me, you've obviously set up an amazing new concept, bringing footballers over to Australia and Dubai, putting them on tours. How did you fall into that industry?
Oh, crazy. It was actually by accident. I was actually filming a documentary around one of the plays that was coming out. Because I was so involved and I had a lot of contacts, we decided to create a little group and, make this thing like an ongoing thing, not just a one-off. So that's how it pretty much started. So it was just...
And do you see like the same enthusiasm and excitement in Australia or in Dubai with the footballers or soccer than you do in Europe and America when they see these celebrities?
Oh, if not more, because when we brought Ronaldinho out last year to Australia, it was like a god. We had people crying, people following the car, running after the car. There was groups of thousands of people that were just trying to surround him. It was actually incredible to see.
Yeah, it's crazy how these footballers build up such a persona, or like they become some people's like idols and dreams.
Godlike.
Yeah,
almost.
it's crazy. And how did you fall into that? Because obviously you said you built this network and small group. What was the leading conversations? It was like, this could work. Was it seeing those or?
No, it was pretty much like, because in Australia a lot of things is a little bit basic and a lot of things a little bit backwards in a way and behind in the rest of the world. So I decided to bring up an industry like hospitality industry, especially in Sydney. And one of the things was I played soccer when I was younger and I had a passion for soccer, but the problem was that you couldn't really make it anywhere. There wasn't really a pathway to become professional or to really have that motivation to get in the world stage or become a great player.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is with the young kids back in Australia, we want to help motivate them. So bringing these players to Australia helps motivate and help build the whole entire industry in Australia. So that's the whole concept behind it, is to help the generations educate people on football or soccer, as they call it, and make it the most popular sport in Australia.
I mean, I'm from the UK and bloody hell, football is like an absolute cult. It's a religion, it's a fan base, people go every weekend. It's wild. I've never really been into it, but it's absolutely nuts. And I think if you like, what would you say the reason it's not already been in Australia? Because I'm from a country where it's, as I said, it's a religion. People are obsessed with it. Why do you think it wasn't there, or there wasn't that pathway in Australia yet?
I blame Soccer Australia for that, because a lot of it's just about making money, and they don't even really care about the kids. So a lot of kids, if you don't have money to play, you don't play.
Yeah.
So we need to change that. So by bringing these players in and having the JBT tour, we want to create our own concept where we have talent over money. So if we create enough hype and create enough money in that, then we can actually start to create these little academies to get these kids to play for free. Because kids should be playing for free, especially a game that they love. Because a lot of kids are so talented, they don't even have that opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And some kids, like when I was younger, there was so many kids that were so great. I actually Googled the name to see if they were playing professionally, and they didn't. And I'm thinking these guys are actually as good as some of these big stars. So moving forward, I think that the soccer quality in players has gone down a lot.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi could be the last of the fantastic players that we see, unless we do something about it. It all starts with the kids.
And I think that's so interesting. It is about giving kids an opportunity to really flourish in whatever environment they're in. And it is crazy what you're saying, like a monetary aspect of everything in life has kind of gone that way. That's kind of pulling back the fresh meat or the fresh kids and coming up, whether they're now getting influenced by like TikTok and YouTube and gaming, that they're maybe not going out and playing as much, or is it that it's now too expensive for families to put them into these sports?
It's both. It's super expensive, but also there's so many distractions now, like you said. When I was younger, I'm not that old, but when I was younger, I would go out and I'd play all day and all night. And my parents didn't like I was out all night. Now the parents want the kids to be outside and play. So there's so many more distractions. Kids now want to be at home gaming and being a professional gamer or whatever they want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of kids that are so talented they don't even know it themselves. They're probably born with that talent.
Yeah.
But how do you know unless you give it a go? And it all comes down to the parents as well, You have to listen. If the kid is somewhat sporty, right, put them in there and see how they go. But also supporting them. It shouldn't be a factor of we can't afford the registration fee and you can't play. So a lot of great kids, either can't play because their parents can't afford it, or if they can afford it, where do they take their kid? Overseas, to the UK, to go and play in teams over there.
And it's really interesting concept, isn't it? Something that people used to play, again, sports or football when they were younger to make friends or to communicate is now become such a major industry. Do you think that's been funneled because now top players make so much money that these bottom end academies or the starting academies are now expecting, though they're now seeing the opportunity, like, we're going to charge loads because we'll have an ambassador as a football, therefore making it outreach?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, it's crazy the way it works. Like, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but especially in Australia, a lot of players get paid more for like a smaller Premier League. They get paid a lot more than the A League. A League is the biggest league in Australia. It's the most prominent league. It's the highest you can go to besides playing for the national team, and they get paid. They're capped and they get paid a certain amount. These other guys can actually work a side job plus pay as well, which they probably get paid more money, and then they can have freedom to do what they want. Where these other ones, they're locked into a contract.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely wild. And how have you found the interest coming to Dubai and setting up this business for having these players come and do tours or expos or whatnot?
Oh, huge, because I know that this country here, especially in Dubai, they love bringing business here, new ideas here. They want to be, well, they probably are the number one city in the world, and for good reason as well. So I think in every single industry they want to dominate, and to bring these football stars that we've brought over, I think it's super beneficial for them to have them here, to start something here as well. Because I know the Dubai League might be a little bit small, it might be big, I'm not too sure how big it is here, but bringing these stars over here, and it creates a lot of hype in the industry, which is great for it as well, and also to help the younger generation, because a lot of kids here are not locals, a lot of them are, from different countries.
100%. Well, I know from my side, the demographic of Dubai has completely changed. We're now seeing, it used to be like single parents would come over here and send all their money back to the UK, Europe or US. Now we're seeing full families. We've now got a waiting list to get into schools. People are wanting villas and townhouses. So there obviously is going to be a huge demand and interest for football academies, football coaching, etc. But I wonder now, do you think it's because Saudi is now pumping so much money into having, is it Ronaldo over there and based there? Do you think now people in Dubai are travelling there to see the football league over there?
Of course, yeah. It's since Ronaldo going over there, it's really helped the whole industry in the Middle East. And it's made people take it a lot more seriously, which is good. And I think there should be a competitive soccer world, because it's the world game. So every 100%. Country has to have a strong presence of soccer in the country.
Yeah, 100%. I think, as I said, going back to it brings people together, whether it's adults, children, grandparents, it brings that common ground, be able to speak to each age group. Yeah. Just an easy conversation, which I think is fantastic. And I think sometimes that's what people probably say they're missing in Dubai, is that culture, but bringing football, etc., will bring the culture and will bring topics of conversation that everyone can mix with, what you see within all these different countries worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the reason why we bring these big superstars out here. And these superstars are players that were big back in the day, and we bring them out as to help the younger generation, also for the fan base. It covers every single age group, as you said, and I think it's really important to bring them to these countries here to help boost the industry.
100%. And what would you say, when you bring a football over, talk me through what their few days or when they're here, or week is when you're here, what do you do day by day with them?
So it depends. What happens is who pays for them is usually sponsors. So sponsors are attached to the player. So we do a private dinner with the sponsors, and then we have activations. So for this particular player, we're going to have a training, one-on-one training or a group training with kids. Then we have a small seminar type of thing, and then we take him to iconic sites around Dubai, and he sort of promotes Dubai and says, "This is my choice of place." And then, depending on the sponsor and how much they pay, they also get a commercial out of it as well.
Oh wow, so it's a full-on B2B, B2C and everything that you've built, which is amazing. And are you taking them a lot to Abu Dhabi Zayed Sports Centre, that training?
Yeah. So there's a little itinerary we're going to put together, and for him, but also what he agrees to as well. So once a sponsor comes on board, then we agree to different activations that we come up with, and then his manager says yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and that's it.
I mean, I think it's amazing, especially with so many different centres, facilities and opportunities within Dubai, that it is a light that probably not many people have been able to tick off yet. And I think you're getting into a market that I would see being here 5 years is pretty fresh. There hasn't been many things I've seen of people do that yet,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing. How are you though finding going into, I guess, kind of the unknown when a market hasn't got too much like press around it as such? Do you know what I mean? There isn't any competition. How are you finding going into that market?
Look, it's difficult in a way. The only thing that's difficult about it is the fact that you need to have certain contacts here.
Yeah.
Because if you're contacting certain companies, you're starting from the ground up. Okay, send us an email, which doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So finding the appropriate people and attacking it there, depending. So the first thing I do is find out who would be suitable for this player. Okay, it could be Emirates, it could be some development group or whatever it is. And then from there on, you start to find the contacts in that. And then because you've got a big player behind you, that's your power.
Yeah.
Like if I was just coming there as a nobody and saying, okay, I just want to meet somebody because I have an idea, they don't really care. But because you've got a superstar player that wants to come to their country and a superstar player with a massive following and who was like considered a god once, then that's your power to sort of get in and break through.
100%. I think it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. Are you seeing a lot of these footballers when they come here? Have they been here many times, or is it their first time?
Many times, yeah.
Really?
Some of them have properties here, but they come here for holidays. They come here to bring their family. But for them to actually come here for a specific reason and to help boost something, and also it helps them at the same time because they've a player that has had a massive career and won World Cups and everything like that. For them to be remembered and to come back and being loved and everything, it's great for their personal brand as well.
It's amazing, and I think now in 2020 specifically, everyone's really focused on building their personal brand, building a community, building a legacy for people to really remember them and follow them and see the good you're doing. You obviously having your business in Dubai and bringing it over to Australia in the past and working with these people, how have you dealt with imposter syndrome when you speak to these super famous people that maybe you looked up to as a child being like, shit, I need to actually hold a conversation and not shit myself? How do you get over that?
I think it's the leader because there's so much planning that's involved and there's so much, you talk to these guys almost daily. It feels like you already know them. So when you do see them, there's a little bit of that starstruck, but you're so professional and you have a task at hand and it's so busy, you don't really think about that. With Ronaldinho, it was a little bit difficult because he doesn't speak much English at all. Okay. A little bit if you get to know him. Yeah. But seeing him, it was really like he was just in his own world. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He came and did the job and then he left, you know. So to get really close and personal to him, it was, he still had that superstar status about him and that aura about him. But because we were so busy and because there was so much talking to the lead up, it already felt like I knew him already.
Of course, that's crazy. And do you think when building these relationships, that's the key for growing your business, is having a good relationship with the manager or the footballer?
Probably the manager. The manager pretty much says everything that goes because with Ronaldinho, his manager is his best friend, or his best friend, and he's also his brother. They're sort of a bit of a group. So for them, it's like as long as you do what they want and give them what they want, they're happy. And they're happy to do whatever.
What's the hardest task you've been given yet? What weird requirement have you been given? You've been like, bloody hell, what am I going to do here?
The hardest task. Probably finding sponsors is difficult.
Really?
Yeah, finding the right sponsors is difficult because everybody wants to be a part of it, but everybody wants to be a part of it, and there's only a certain amount that they want to put in, but they want to get everything in return, right? So having to deal with that, and you've got other sponsors that sort of jump in and try to climb on top of the other person. So when we had the game in Sydney exhibition match, we had like the whole field was filled with sponsors. It kind of looked a little bit weird because you had like the BYD that was right in the centre, then you had Crown on either side, BYD in between. So the whole field was filled with sponsors, pretty much, So.
And how do you manage, I guess, those objections or their expectations if they think they're sponsoring your football and they're going to meet them and then there ends up being multiple sponsors? How do you manage that?
Well, whoever pays the most gets first recognition.
Perfect.
But, you have to really make it personal with the sponsors. Like a lot of the owners or the people that run the particular company that we had sponsoring, we had one-on-one stuff with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they also had a car launch as well, which worked in perfectly because they were launching the car, this massive event that we had over 53 million views for this particular event. it was a big thing, and we didn't realise how big it was going to be
Congrats.
moving forward. Yeah. So for the price that they paid and what they got out of it at the end of it was great, but getting that initially was a bit difficult to try and say this is what you're going to get for it.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet if you're going to get it.
I guess it's like betting on the future and betting on what it could potentially be. How do you then, this is a sales question, but then how do you be the salesperson? Because you've gone from an events organisation, a relationship builder, now you're going to sales. How do you manage all those three roles within one?
Well, it depends, like you have, like I said before, you have to make sure that you choose the right sponsors, right? So a lot of sponsors, they are trying to dive into the sports market. Other people are trying to get into the sports market, but some other ones are already inside it as well. So trying to manage all that and give them exactly what they want to get the exposure that they need is the difficult part to balance. And that's why you have to come up with a brilliant plan and marketing strategy and have them everywhere, have them on the jerseys, and now we're adding them doing a commercial for the company as well, which is a big plus, because if they were going to be paying Ronaldinho to do a commercial, it would be millions. It'd be millions. But because he's under contract and it's part of everything, and because we've spoken to him and we're making it a really streamlined and really easy sort of thing, we give him a percentage of the ad as well.
Ah, wow.
So this is more lucrative for them to be involved. So they're getting paid already, and they're getting paid extra on the side there. So this is a fee that he's getting and he's happy with. Anything else is a bonus. So that's how we work it. We come up with a fee. How much do you want to come out? X amount. Okay, we've got these sponsors. At the same time, this sponsorship is paying X amount. We'll give him 15% of that, and 15% of this, and whatever of that.
So it makes it look really lucrative. Obviously, pulling together a contract like that, not many people would be as creative as you have been, hence why your business is now so successful. Where do you think you've learned all that from prior to opening up your business? What was a stepping stone?
Well, it's funny, like every little thing that puts it all together, I've had experience in that particular field, like putting events together, I've put events together.
Yeah.
Dealing with celebrities, I've dealt with celebrities. So all these little things I've done individually, and it's all just come into one. And it's crazy how it's all come together.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you look back or you reflect and you think, how the fuck did I get here? And then you look back on your journey and you're like, that makes sense.
Yes.
And I'm sure you probably took on jobs when you were younger, if you were doing event organisation or dealing with celebrities, you'd be like, why the fuck am I putting up with this? I don't want to be an event organizer. I don't want to be anything. And it's weird the pathway that life puts you on without realizing.
Exactly.
It's absolutely wild.
Exactly.
What would you say your biggest lesson has been since setting up a business, obviously growing it across borders? What's been your biggest lesson so far?
The biggest lesson is make sure you create a really good team. Having a really good team is the most important thing. You have to pick a crew that you trust and everyone knows their job, and you've got to stick with it. A lot of people, especially when there's big superstars coming out, they want to be the ones to say that they organised it and they're the boss when somebody else is paying for it. So the biggest lesson was picking a good crew and sticking with that crew. And
how do you pick the good crew? What do you look attributes-wise? Is it the person with the best CV? Like, what do you look for?
Somebody who you can tell that is not bullshitting to your face. A lot of it is trial and error, because a lot of people are great at talking and they can deliver certain things, but seeing through the bullshit is the first thing that I do, because I want people to work that are passionate about what they do, not because they see the dollar signs. If I pick somebody in that particular field that is passionate about that particular field, it could be something as small as just filming the content, or the booking the stadium, or managing whatever it is. If somebody is passionate about that particular field, and they're telling me exactly what I need, and they're also giving me ideas what to make it better, that's my person.
And you used the word passion a lot. Is that because this is a passion project? It was something that you missed out on when you were younger?
Yes, I do everything with passion.
Yeah.
And I can't do nothing unless it's done with passion, otherwise it's just a job.
I think it's amazing, because I'm sitting here really invested in, I've not got a freaking Scooby about football, and I'm like, wow, this sounds so cool.
Yeah.
But I can see that, and I think that's one thing people probably lose a lot, especially when they are on the pathway, when they're expanding businesses across borders, because that means they're doing well.
Yep.
Sometimes the passion's lost, but it's so nice to see that you're still passionate about every aspect of your business and you're able to build. How do you think you keep the passion up?
Look, I think these new challenges are what keeps the passion up. Like when we knew that we could bring these stars to Australia, and then I moved over here and said, okay, we can bring it and make it a world tour. For me, that was a new challenge, because I know everybody in Australia. I'm born and raised there. But coming to a new country and having to network and start from the bottom up. It might be scary for people. For me, it's exciting.
Yeah. How do you network? What's your biggest attribute of networking? Some people love it, some people hate it.
Building strong rapport with people is really important. I feel in networking is so important to build a really good rapport with the person, right? Getting down to business, yeah, that's another thing. But building rapport with that person and finding exactly what they want, for me, is the best form of networking.
I think that's amazing, because I know I can speak too much sometimes, but if you're a good listener, especially when relationship building, it does really strengthen the foundations, because they don't just think you're selling.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of people fuck it.
Because at the end of the day, when you speak to a lot of people, they try to sell themselves, right? And I believe questions are the answers. The more questions you ask, the more answers you get, and you'll figure things out. And another important thing as well, when you're doing these things as well, a lot of people don't really follow up, and the fortune is in the follow-up.
100%.
That's where you make your fortune, is when you follow up with these people. So being serious about, like, if you sit down with somebody and you don't have a plan of exactly what you're doing, right? You're not going to get anywhere. And they're really going to. Human beings have this instinct where they can see if somebody is full of crap or not.
Yeah.
Right. So really having everything locked down, then sitting down with that person and show that you're serious, and then following up with that person, building rapport with that person, creating a strong relationship with that person, then you should have a smooth run through there.
It's the key aspects to every bit of business, whether it's sales, whether it's relationships, whether it's anything. And I think a lot of people sometimes get a little bit scared to follow up, because they think I'm annoying them, I'm pestering them, and I'm like, to be honest, unless you're selling them every single time, if you're just asking them how their holiday is or connecting on what, replying to an Instagram, I don't think it's bad.
No,
I think people need to grow some balls at time and be like, follow up, you'll be remembered.
Look, at the end of the day, if you're trying to benefit them as well, it's advantageous for both of you. But I think a lot of people don't understand sometimes what kind of opportunity is in front of them, and you know what the opportunity is. So by pushing that is fine. But at the end of the day, it's business. We're not here to be making so many friends. We've got friends that I've known for 20 years. You've got friends you've probably known for a very long time. It's like, let's get this done and move forward in life. Otherwise, no. Because a lot of people, it's not so much you. They're just lazy, or they just can't see it for themselves, or they just can't be bothered. Great. You need to know that.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you can move on.
Transparency is the best. Well, thank you so much for having you on. It was honestly great to hear your journey, and great some tips for people that are looking to move to Dubai, and just general business tips. And thank you.
No, thanks for having me. And just for anybody listening out there, just give it a go. For me, it was just jumping into the unknown is the most exciting thing in life, and you don't learn unless you experience things, and this is the best way to do it.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you very much.